So the purpose of the town hall meeting was to, among other things, such as answer brothers and sisters' questions, various topics and stuff, was to be a kumbaya meeting where if I had furnished an apology, and I told you about that before, it'd kind of be like a non-apology or a Clintonian apology or a political type of apology where you're not really saying sorry, because I really couldn't figure what to say sorry for. Now, a lot of you live in a world where profanity is something to say sorry for, but you would never press Father to go and make an apology for saying sorry. And apparently, some of Father's own children moved out of Father's house because he curses so much. You wouldn't press Cookshin to make an apology for his curses. I remember when he first moved here and he was talking about Hak Jahan. He used the word bitch all the time, and she's going to hell, and you know, stuff that according to unification lore, you know, is just you're not supposed to hear that kind of thing, you know. So I don't know what to tell you. You guys have you know, double standard there, and I wasn't going to apologize just because you can't sort through double standard. So, you know, the other thing is, if I did render an apology for things that I really didn't do, or things that I did that weren't really wrong, it would have created the spectacle of both sidesism, which means that both sides were equally wrong, which is a quest that people of fallen nature seek, because if both sides are wrong, then the wrong committed by the truly wrong side doesn't seem so bad. And that's why people of fallen nature seek fallen nature number 4, to multiply evil, so that if everybody's evil, then their evil doesn't seem so bad. It's like, even if they have to risk the normalization of evil, which is what I believe she did by weaponizing all those brothers against me, the Lord has normalized evil in the inner circle by not being able to shut up, by shedding her girl tears in front of men who don't know how to tell a woman, stop crying. I don't even believe those tears. By doing that, she weaponized those men against me instead of surrendering. But anyway, a woman filled with tricks like that, centered on her own career, centered on her own glory, centered on her own public recognition, and all those false claims she made, all those operatives she tried to whip up against me online, and I do have the screenshots to prove that she went on a campaign to recruit people just to fight me online, would be equal to me cussing. Or fill in the blank. Me saying some apology for fill in the blank. And they just wanted me to fill in the blank so that they could have this moral equivalence atmosphere. And oh, I really was grateful to Kristen Quinn who snapped me out of it. She said, this is a false equivalence, and besides, it's speech. You're saying sorry for what you did with your free speech. And I'm thinking, no, everyone that I called a bitch online needed to be called a bitch. Okay, because the people I tend to call bitch online were these third parties who invited themselves into A and B conversation that I was having with a family feder who usually departed from logic. And I'd be trying to get those people back on track, and it's embarrassing when you expose someone as having faulty logic. So, you know, these third parties would, you know, try to help the family feder save face. If I help you save face, you'll think I'm nice, and then you'll come to Sanctuary Church. That was the general hope or belief of these third parties. Jamal, don't show us to be so mean, because then they'll never come over to Sanctuary side. That was their thinking. Okay, so me being mean, me calling people bitch, this kind of thing. The thing that I was focused on, I'm not a sanctuary. I was never a member of a church. I was a person standing up for truth and the logical process which promises to lead us to truth. If we abandon truth, or we abandon the logical process that leads us to truth, then we don't have anything. And if someone proposes, through deviating from the truth incessantly, proposes that we follow their line of logic, they're bringing curses upon the process. They're bringing problems into the process to find the truth. We will not find the truth. We will find truths of a sort, truths that make us comfortable, but we will not find the truth. And so I was very aggressive, and you see from what I'm saying to you, there are reasons why I did it, and there are reasons why I don't apologize, or I wouldn't apologize. I insist that brothers and sisters keep a rational mind, not a reprobate mind. And when a third party comes in and says, you should love that person, this person winds up getting called a name because they think that the love that I'm in charge of, the love that I issue with the life that's been given to me, that the love that I issue should be summoned by them. And that's insulting. It would be better for them to say, can't you find a way to love him? And then I would clarify for them, I am loving him by insisting that he abandon his reprobate mind. He abandoned his BS rationalizations. I am loving him. I'm loving him by not giving him any hope that I'm going to receive some rationalization that doesn't make sense. So there are reasons why I'm not going to apologize for that. Sorry, Richard. You were the one who played at a Sunday sermon, Father saying, if I said shit, it's shit. So you're a hypocrite, okay? You're a hypocrite. And you came after me for purely political, strategic purposes about the word bitch. Because if I said bitch, it's a bitch, okay? If Father can say to you and get your utmost respect that if I say shit, it's shit, and I can't say bitch, well then you're a damn hypocrite. Alright, so you should repent for that. You should repent for treating me like that. And the assistance that you thought you were rendering, you probably told yourself you're helping Hyunjin. You probably told yourself you were helping Lourdes. You probably told yourself you were helping all women. You probably told yourself you were helping Cookjin. That bullshit rationalization that turned you into a hypocrite, you should repent for that. Anyway, enough about you. So the town hall meeting was called, among other things, to produce this moral equivalence, and Kristen Quinn flew all the way out, and she got told to leave by Deputy Doug, Santa Claus, and Gideon Rauchi, asked them if they're citizens. Civil relativism was on display because half the panel was citizens and the first half of the panel is not citizens. You see how they have to hold on to this logic that they're not citizens. It comes out later as they're preparing for the February 28th blessing later. So they got in bed with a bad principle, and it comes out later. Anyway, so there was a false equivalence at the time that the second Israel had to receive the third Adam. Baekmun Kim should have said to Father, so I should have said to the congregation about his dream about 3 crowns. He should have said that Rev Moon comes in the position of the third crown, where Adam was the first crown, Jesus was the second crown, and Father is the third crown. But instead of telling the congregation to believe and follow Reverend Moon, Baekmun Kim says, you should follow Reverend Moon as much as you follow me. And he created a bullshit equivalence. And so me setting the condition of allowing them to equate the citizen with the public official, in the microcosm that is the church itself, we would be setting the condition that the child of God is equal to the servants of God, or angels, through meritocratic psychology, could reach the direct dominion just as much as God's children. Or what really happens is meritocratic psychology tends to distract humans from actually consciously being, as if it were highest priority, those things that children would be in front of their father. And they would emphasize those things that servants would be in front of their Lord. And so the dominant culture of humans would remain angelic and meritocratic, not true family values. So, it was a good thing that Kristen was in my life at that time. And so I didn't participate in that spectacle, even though Hyunjin really wanted me to. Later on, he cites me not saying an apology as one of the 3 reasons why he was breaking the matching agreement. I gather he didn't realize I had deep reasons for not wanting to apologize, and even he himself couldn't cite something that I had done wrong. Like I said, he should have just reprimanded his worker, and that would have been the end of it. But anyway, that was the town hall meeting. So after the town hall meeting, the Citizens Covenant was ramping up, and we were going to sort of consecrate or ratify as the center of our group. We had Russians in the Citizens Covenant group. We had people from the West Coast. We had people from the South side of the United States. Of course, we had Pennsylvanians in the Citizens Covenant group, and yeah, we had people from Western and Eastern Europe in there. Okay, so the Citizens Covenant group was going to set forth and like ratify the United States Constitution as their constitution. This way, we could stand as a second state. Then both the sanctuary church organization and the Citizens Covenant group could stand as two states, elect a Congress, and then we could have court, and then we could try cases without Tim saying, you know, that this doesn't mirror the idea of the United States of General Good. But something happened. As I was approaching, I had two problems as I was approaching the day we were going to ratify the United States of General Good Constitution. I had an internal problem and I had an external problem. The external problem had to do with what process should I go about to bring the two states together to make a Congress, and whether I was doing it in the proper order. Did we need to have a separate state constitution? Could the Citizens Covenant stand as a state constitution? And my internal problem was I kept having this feeling that when you set forth a constitution, you are binding all the people within the system that you create through that constitution. You are binding all future citizens to that system. It's an incredibly obnoxious thing to do. And I found a new appreciation for the fact that when Father set forth a constitution, he only had 3 things in it originally. And later it was about 5, but he kept it very, very small because God is not trying to be an invader. He doesn't want some kind of invasive reality where it's like 632 laws or something like that. He just wants the bare minimum in order to create a place of peace. So don't misuse public funds, don't violate the lineage, and don't violate the heart of people, the heart of people. So I was having this internal problem that I would be binding future generations to this complex document where it would be assumed that they abide by it, and this thing had already, to some degree, protected for 32 days a gag order against me. So I could feel that the future children born of these families would be in this more damned position, and I pitied them. I had a strong foreboding as if the children of the future were weeping and sobbing, saying, "Why did you do this to us?" So these are the 2 problems that I had. So I went to Hyungjin to have a meeting about this alternate reality. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyway, I'll go with that. He didn't want to have that meeting. See, whenever I asked him a complicated question, all the way from August, he would give me an answer of one tone, and then when he had time to go back and talk to whoever he confers with, he'd come back with another answer. For example, he seemed to be at peace when I said that I was thinking of going to the World Mission Department, but then he comes out in public after he has some time, and he comes out way more fiery, and he decides to go at something that he even knows is not my problem. I don't have an anti-hierarchy problem. I said hierarchy is a tool. One time when I asked him about the gag order, he said, "Oh yeah, I'll have Jim take care of it." But then, you know, in the early part of the day, he says, yeah, it shouldn't be there. And the second part, he says, "Oh yeah, Jim's gonna call an emergency session." So in the first part of the day, he agreed that the gag order shouldn't be there. In the second part of the day, he agreed with Jim going through this process of bringing me in court first. So I'm finding that something is able to sort of change him. I guess he has to have his advisors and everything. So that's neither here nor there. But I was trying to have a meeting with him. I was going to draft up a PowerPoint. And somebody had told him that I was going to create a splinter group. That's what I was up to. And I was telling him at this meeting, I'm not trying to make a splinter group. I mean, it's silly because Cookchin trying to get rid of me in June was telling me to go start a church anyway, so how could that be bad by November? Okay, but somebody got it in his mind that I'm going to create a splinter group. I'd have to assume it was either Deputy Doug, who was going around talking about how I'm going to be like John Walker. Incidentally, once Gideon told me 2 months earlier about that John Walker comment, Hyungjin texts me back and says, "You're not John Walker," right? But now I'm a potential John Walker. So instead of believing or hearing the PowerPoint that the Citizens Covenant group had put together, he'd already made a judgment that this was whatever Doug or whoever, this hidden person, had said to him, that I'm there to create a splinter group. I don't even like church. Why the hell? I'm so unchurched. I have every bit, I have even more God. Let me tell you how much better it is for me to be based at home. If I'm at home, I can kick somebody like Scat O'Leary out. But if you're in church, you got to be in a committee with a bunch of soft-hearted people who, no matter how much any particular person abuses your group, those soft-hearted people are always going to vote that this person could be within some sort of proximity of you and your kids. So believe me, it's much more. You have much more control over what's around your kids if you're home-based. So anyway, he thinks that I'm trying to create a second church, and all I'm trying to do is create a second state so that we can take this United States Eternal Good Constitution seriously. That's really what's going on, right? All right, so I'm about to abandon for these two reasons. One, Hyungjin doesn't want me to create this alternate state, and something inside of me doesn't want to create the alternate state. So these are two different reasons. If I am closer to using the Eternal Good Constitution to bring the Archangel to relent, then you know, let me just cut to the point. They don't want the Eternal Good Constitution enacted. They set conditions to block it on the image level. We said that the church was the nation on the image level. They blocked it being used on the image level. And when they did use it to some degree, they snatched rights away from the citizens immediately. Gag order. So I'm telling you that in the interest of taking it seriously, the spirit of the children of the future came back in time and said, "Why did you do this to us?" So I was very confused, and that's when brothers and sisters started finding or noticing the contradictions in the Constitution. And long story short, the Constitution is a wicked document because it asserts, first and foremost, that Eternal Good is not yet here, and then they made the document immutable. So if you say that the words of the document can never be changed because it's immutable, and it's always saying it's in the future. So then, just like Christianity for 2,000 years, who are perpetually in a state of waiting for the last days, even though the last days have actually already come, they're perpetually milked at Sunday service to give their tithes non-stop. They're being milked, they're being farmed for support and tithe money endlessly, because the business of waiting for the last days is lucrative. Okay, if the last days have come and Messiah has his way, and the hearts of the Father turn to the Son and Son to the Father, and as Father said, church signs start coming down, and the era of religion is over, then business for these people who farm humans is over. And so it says that that kingdom is not here. That's the business model. So because the kingdom is not here, and because the document itself is immutable, then the kingdom will never be here. The document never gives you permission to believe that the kingdom has come. Okay? So the second thing about the Constitution is that you're not allowed to know who actually wrote it. So this is a secret council. Okay? The secret council is actually outlining for you the parameters of this kingdom, but don't be so alarmed by it, because the kingdom can't come anyway, right? But you are bound by believing in the Eternal Constitution that the kingdom is not here. And if the kingdom is not here, and the kingdom is a inextricable aspect of true human life, really. Once you're a child of God, you have the rights of citizen of heaven. So the realization that people should have as fourth Adam and elder son, there's so many names that that realization goes by. It's the revelation that you are the Lord at the top of the growth stage. It is what Jesus said, you must be born from above, not just born from the womb in the earthly sense, but you have to have a realization from above. You have to be born of the Spirit. You have to have a quickening and a realization about who you are. And this is why Jesus said, before Abraham was, I am. And I can say that too, because before Abraham was, there was a plan that Adam would have children, and that's what I am. So I can say that before Abraham was, I am. So this awakening goes along with citizenship. And you can read a speech called Chajuguk in, I think it's the 27th of January 2002, where Father talks about how this nation of liberation has to come before the manifested realm of liberation. So it's important that we actually start going through this process. And once we do, once we start going through this process, you'll have the same problem that I have with the Eternal Good Constitution. Because that Constitution and its practitioners will be laughing at you, making marginalizing terms like Jamalites to diminish you. And what we have is the classic conflict between those of no faith. The angels didn't know what God was up to. They didn't know why a Johnny-come-lately like Adam was being placed above them. They didn't understand the concept of child. They only understand the servant's reality. They did not understand. So these people who do not understand will become your enemy. And you could try doing kumbaya, but I've been at this since 1999. There is no bridge ever emerged. Okay? No bridge ever emerged. That's like wishing that there was a bridge between Jesus and the Pharisees. Did you ever see that bridge? No. No bridge ever emerged. So, yeah, I come to the point where the Constitution is actually a trap. It's 99.5% filled with compelling advice as to how a community should organize itself. But those two hidden issues, the fact that the kingdom will never come, which is a bold-faced lie if you believe the Father created that nation in 2001 in January. So you have to actually believe a lie. You actually have to adopt some form of counter-faith to the faith the Father tried to encourage us to have. All right, so that was the things going on in November, and that is why the pursuit of using the Constitution came to a screeching halt right there in November. And what I didn't talk about yet that happened in November, I guess I'll have to do in another part because, you know, I'm reaching my time limit here. All right, so anyway, talk to you later.